Good afternoon, student. This is the sixth and last part of the chapter Poverty as Challenge, Class 9, Subject Social Science. Student, after having discussed various causes of poverty in the previous section, in this part we will discuss what efforts are being made by our government to remove poverty from our country, India. Our government has taken various measures which can be divided into two categories. So let us start from page number 38. Our heading is anti-poverty measures. As I said little earlier, that government has taken various measures which can be broadly classified into two categories. First is promotion of economic growth. First is promotion of economic growth and second is targeted anti-poverty program. Student, before I move ahead, you must be knowing what is targeted. Targeted means our government made effort that in which section of society, in which economic and social group, or in which part of India there exists more intense problem of poverty, and based on that government made various policies and program to remove poverty from that section of society, be it economic or social group, or maybe any particular section. Like suppose government comes to know that Odisha and Bihar are the area where there is a serious problem of poverty. So government need to come up with some plan which is especially meant to remove poverty from these two areas. Suppose government comes to know that there is a section of society that is called scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, which are very backward economically, very poor, and they are living below poverty line under extreme poverty condition. So government need to make a special plan, targeted plan to remove poverty from that section of society. That's what it means, targeted anti-poverty program. I hope I made the point clear. So let's begin from the very first, as I said, promotion of economic growth. Student, in this section your book is telling you what we have already discussed in the causes of poverty, that between 1950 to 1980, the first 3 decades of India's independence, our economic growth was very poor. What was the causes? There was less job creation, less job opportunity created, there was low rise in the income of the people, but there was a high rate of population growth, leading to very low per capita income. As a result, what happened that in this period between 1950 to 1980, the concentration of poverty was very high. Your book has given a data that between 1950 to between 1950 to 80, poverty estimates were 45%, which was very high. But now something what we can appreciate also, that after 1980 we could find that there was a tremendous economic growth started taking place. You can say that this growth was fastest in any part of the world. It was fastest in what sense? It was fastest means that the in early period when it started economic growth, it was 3.5% of the GDP, but by the period of 1990 it increased to 6% of the GDP, which was at that time nowhere else in the world. So you can say that now economic growth has started taking place. As a result, student, you must understand that economic growth is directly proportional to poverty reduction. It means the more economic growth will take place, the more and more poverty reduction will take place. You can say that if economic growth take place, people's earning is likely to increase. If people's earning increases, they are expected to invest in the human resources by sending their child to schools to attain higher education. Maybe they can send their girl child also, what they used to not send when there is not a very good economic status of the family. When there are limited resources, they take the girls education for granted. But if economic growth started taking place as claimed after 1980 onwards, people started investing by providing education to their children, and as a result now there was a virtuous cycle of poverty, that those family which was living below poverty line, now their children were helping by the investment in the education and health, now their children were capable to make higher earning by doing some good jobs, and that is how these families were now out of the poverty. This was one thing. However, student, some section which did not invest in the human resource development, which did not invest in the education and healthcare, remain without any benefit of this promotion of economic growth initiated by the government. Also in the rural section, there was not such a good growth what could take place during this period. Poverty concentration remained as high in the village area as it was earlier also by the 1990s. Student, that is one of the section that we can say that promotion of economic growth which has taken place after 1980, but after that it remained very good in terms of reduction of poverty. I already made the point clear. Economic growth directly proportion to poverty reduction. Moving to next point, student, that is targeted anti-poverty program. There are various program our government has made to get rid of poverty from various section. As I said, targeted means targeting the area where exists the problem. Take example to help understand. Suppose you have some health issue and you want to go to the doctor. So doctor would like to diagnose you first, would like to know that in which part of your body or which organ of your body there exists some problem, and based on that doctor will recommend you certain medicine for that part also. If there is problem in your hand, so government will not give you medicine for the doctor will not give you medicine for the whole body. It will give you medicine for that reason where you have some health issue or health problem. Targeted anti-poverty measures are also like that. That government first recognize the area of concern, like our rural area, like some communities like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, OBC and other section where poverty is considered to be more serious problem. Government made clear effort that government made various policies to remove the poverty. Let's take one by one, but before I explain you these things, this section of our textbook is full of factual information. Student, there is less to explain you, so I would suggest you that you read it yourself, make your point from each section to prepare for your examination, to prepare in an order that all data you can learn. This section where we have less thing to explain, but I am explaining only those area. First plan was which was initiated in 2005, that was Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under this scheme, government has initiated a plan to provide 100 days of employment to each household. Why only 100 days of employment? Why not all the 365 days of employment? Because it is believed that if any family gets 100 days of employment minimum assured to them, then they are likely to sustain with the earning made over a period of these 100 days by these 100 days over a period of year. So government in this section has made 100 days employment. It was also said that if government will remain fail, if government will be failing to provide the 100 days of employment, it will give unemployment allowance. Few arrangements were also made. SC, ST and OBC were given preference to get the work under this government scheme. 1/3 of the job were also reserved for the women. It was also tried that large number of the people should be getting employment opportunity for as many days possible. You will be surprised to know that 220 crore days of employment has been generated. 220 crore days of employment, which has provided job security to a larger extent to the families, which remain approximately 4.78 crore. This is not a small number, student. This scheme can be appreciated for its effort. During this scheme, with the time, the average wage has also increased. It was only rupees 65 as it is mentioned in 2006-2007. Later it got increased to 132 in 2013 to 14. It means there has been continuous growth. And present data in your textbook in this edition, it is showing you that now it is highest in Haryana 281 and lowest 168 in Bihar. So this scheme has made effort to remove poverty by ensuring job security to a larger extent. Our next scheme is, as per your textbook, is Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, which was initiated in the year 1993. Student, the very purpose of this scheme was to create self-employment for the educated unemployed children or youth of the village area, rural area, by initiating some own small businesses by borrowing money from the government. Government made various institutes which could provide them money to move ahead with this work. Now students, second thing, that it was not only Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, there was Rural Employment Generation Program in the 1995. More or less it was like with a similar agenda. Again, there was self-employment to be created from the government side. Educated people were provided loan so they can initiate their own work, and by this they can create employment for themselves and they can create employment for other. It was again meant to create with certain target. Here this time it was target to create job for 25 lakh people as per 10th 5-year plan. How any person can create job? Suppose if you are educated person, you are not having any job opportunity, what government has provided initiative that borrow the money, take the loan and do some startup, do some business. If you will do some business, you will require some other assistance, so you will hire few other people. By this means what you would be doing, that you will not be giving job opportunity to yourself, work opportunity to yourself, rather you will create opportunity for others also, and by this means you will be solving the problem of unemployment, which is indirectly the reason for high rate of poverty existing in our country. The more employment means reduction of poverty. Moving to next scheme, students, Swarn Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana. It was initiated in 1999 and its aim was to bring various poor families which was living below poverty line, under the extreme poverty condition, to uplift to the level of above poverty line by making self-help group SHGs. Self-help groups is something new for you. You will be studying in class 10th chapter Money and Credit, but for the time being let me explain. Self-help group is something, suppose a family which is very poor and has nothing to borrow the money, because whenever they will be going to a banking institution to borrow the money, bank is likely to ask them something to give as a guarantee. Because these families are unable to give any guarantee, they might not get any loan from the bank, and that's how the purpose of making growth for themselves and coming out of poverty will be a difficult task. So what can be done in the village area? A group of 15 to 25 people who are living under the extreme poverty condition, they can make their own group, and as a group of people they can take the bank credit or credit from the government also. Some government institution can also help them to borrow the money, and as a group they can do some work and return the money to these government institution. For the time being, SHG simply means self-help group, which are made, people by the village have made their own group to help themselves out of to get everyone, to get all of them out of the poverty. This was our another scheme, student. This is not good enough. On the next page it is mentioned that, on the same page it is mentioned, page 39, student, that is Pradhan Mantri Gramoday Yojana. This Pradhan Mantri Gramoday Yojana was initiated in the year 2000, and this scheme was initiated with the central government's assistance provided to the state government, and very purpose was that more and more facilities should be created what can be considered the investment in the human resource development, like primary education, primary health care, safe drinking water, sanitation. If these things will be arranged at the village level, if these things are going to be arranged at the village level, Government believe that slowly and slowly the reduction of poverty shall be taking place. More and more people are likely to get the benefit of these education and healthcare provided to their children, so that in the future, in the coming future, their children will find their productivity higher as compared to what their parents have. Moving to another one, there is Antyodaya Yojana. This we will discuss in chapter number 4, where government has provided some food at the affordable price to ensure, like right now, you people are aware that during the lockdown, various people working outside their states are now having no choice to go back to their home. So government is providing them minimum amount of food stuff so they can survive easily during this tough time. Some sort of scheme where food articles are provided at a very less price. As I said, that this will be discussed in detail in class 9th, chapter number 4, food security in India. By this means, we can say that government initiated various programs under the targeted anti-poverty program. Now question is, if government has made so many effort, why still after 70 years of our independence we are having a serious problem of poverty existing across the country? Reasons are two. Number one, that over these years, however, our government made announcement of various policies and program, but its honest implementation has not taken place by the executive, by the government officials. Rather, it was found that uh, there remain not a very good intention while announcing these policies and program due to the election politics. You can say that because there was always some election related issues, to get the vote of the public, every political party made announcement, and once they came to the power, they simply announced these policies and program, but implementation to that extent or with that sincerity did not take place what it was supposed to have. That was the serious concern, student. Corruption was another issue, that what money was given under every scheme and plan by central or state government, that did not reach to the needy section of the society. Rather, it was misused by the higher officials. That you can say corruption was one of the reasons. Second is overlapping of various schemes. We started so many schemes that many schemes, when you will read it, this section, you will find that in many schemes more or less the things are same. It means that there was no clear demarcation about that under this scheme this area to be targeted, under another scheme another section to be targeted. So there was always a sort of confusion to get rid of poverty, and due to the overlapping of a scheme, things could not be achieved. Student, our last heading of this chapter is the challenges ahead, given on page number 39 and 40 of your NCERT textbook. Student, in this section we will try to find the broader definition of poverty from minimum substance level to reasonable substance level. There is no doubt, student, that whatever efforts are taken by the government to remove the poverty has certainly started declining, and we are expecting that in the coming 10 to 20 years further poverty will decline. But it doesn't mean that at present what the status is. We can say that at present still there are more than 25 to 27 crore people living below poverty line. There is there are some issues like still poverty exists at the wide there is wide uh, difference between the poverty of rural and urban area. Also, student, there are certain social and economic group which are more vulnerable to poverty. So nutshell message what I want to convey over here, that though efforts are made by the government to remove poverty has proved to be fruitful, poverty has certainly declined, but doesn't mean that it has been completely removed. Although future is quite bright, we are knowing that the efforts what we are taking in the form of human resource investment, in the form of human resource development among the people, it will certainly help to remove the poverty. Uh, we have made investment in the field of education, we have made investment in the field of healthcare, we have made effort that all children between the age group of 6 to 14 are going to get their right of universal elementary education. We have made to empower our women population, and also economically weaker section of society was provided some assistance by targeted anti-poverty program. So it is expected that poverty will be removed in the coming year. But this doesn't mean that our target is to have make is to have the reduction of poverty by providing food to everyone. I little earlier said that we need to broad that we need to find the broader definition of poverty. Means so far in the since the beginning of the chapter we are continuously repeating again and again that poverty means to get rid of the population. Poverty reduction means to get rid of the population from the minimum decent standard of living. But now let us make it little broad, that it has to be reasonable standard of living, level of reasonable substance level that we need to achieve. It means we should not remain limited to only providing the food, clothing and shelter. We should provide them higher education, we should provide them self-confidence, because it has been a common problem that those who are belonging to the poor section of the society lack the confidence in the society. We should make sure that there remain no gender discrimination in the society and there remains no child labor. We are hopeful for the future that once we will achieve that all the people of the society, all the people in the country have been made or have been uplifted to the above poverty line, we will continue to shift our target from arranging food and minimum substance level to other reasonable substance level. That's how, student, I have completed the chapter. Again, like rest of the chapter, I would not be discussing the exercise section given in your textbook. I am leaving it for you to find out yourself and then discuss with your teacher that whatever the possible answer. I hope there will be no problem for most of the questions given in your NCERT textbook. If it exists, please do discuss with your teacher. Thank you, student. Thanks a lot.